Hello guys, welcome to CoderCrab. So today we'll see most essential topic in Angular. Any Angular version after 2 plus, it is been there quite a while, and it is every interview you will go. This is like 98 to 99% I think will be asked. Okay, whatever the level of toughness it may be, but this is the question that has been asked in each and every interview. So dependency injection, right? So let's first see why dependency injection. Okay, what is the benefit of that? Okay, then we'll go for without dependency injection what would happen, and with dependency injection what would happen. Okay, so so let's see. Okay, so first let's take an normal example. Okay, let's take an application, like we are creating one application. So this application may be this, let's say this is one application. In that application we have one service where we are checking the number of orders. Let's say number of orders. Okay, let's say it is an ERP kind of application. So we are checking number of orders. One service is there which is saying order status. Okay, current order status, is it shipped, or it is delivered, or it is cancelled. So maybe there may be thousands of status, right? So there, let's deal with these two services. We have these two services, and in our application, in our view, we have, let's say, three views. One is which is showing directly. If somebody enters one order, and they will be seeing order status. Okay, they will be seeing the order status. And if somebody wants to see all the orders, they will see all orders according to date and status as well. And somebody wants to see past orders, some recent order, let's say last order or recent order, whatever you can say, recent order. They also will see last order and order status. So basically, these number of orders being called in one service, this one, and this order status is being called in these two services, right? So we are utilizing this thing in many places. Basically, that is the thing, right? So what we need to do here is, if we are not going to use, so this is the condition, right? So let's say we are going to use. So okay, so now let's say we are going to utilize, we are not going to utilize the dependency injection. What would happen? Like, we will have two services created where we will be calling the backend and getting the number of orders, right? And once there is one more service which is bringing order status from the backend. So what will happen, whenever I'll start this or I'll create the order status component, what I'll do, I'll call this particular API. I'll call this particular API and okay, I'll call this particular API and get the data. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit and make it a little bit more readable. Okay, okay. So let's say this is my backend where my data is there. I have two services, service 1, service 2. Service 1 says get all orders, so all order, and service 2 gives order status, ord status. Okay, so, and this is my front end. In my front end I have one component. This component is order status component, ord status component. This component, this gives all orders along with each order status, like we see in Amazon and Flipkart and right. So there is one where it says this is the order, and below that it says order status, cancelled, reached, delivered, whatever status is. Here only if you are entering an order number, it gives the order status. And another one is there which gives the most recent order, and it's, let's say, most recent order. Okay, most recent order. So this accesses this one, and also this accesses this one and takes the last order, and here it takes all the orders and their status as well, and this takes only this. Okay, so this is how the thing is. Okay, so now, and these two are calling, getting data from this database and the service. This is how it is. Okay, so this in between we would be having a backend APIs, and this would be called with this services. These are in the front end services, or you can say in our Angular services. Okay, so now the problem is this: every time when we are using this component, if we are not using dependency injection, we will create an instance of this one, and again when we are using this survey, this particular view or from component, we will be again instantiating this two, and here also we will be instantiating this two. So think of the overhead. So we are instantiating or creating objects for each of these services all the time, right? Again, this is one problem. Okay, every time you are creating the instance, so there is very less reusability. Second, whenever there is a change here, okay, you are calling the constructor here and creating one object. Whenever there is a change here in the services, you have to change in your components. That is one more pain. Okay, so the reusability is one problem. The, the changes, frequent changes, is another problem. Okay, so these are the two things which are these things. This will be become a problem for a bigger solution, for a bigger application. So every time you are creating objects, so you are wasting a lot of time and memory, and also every time you are changing for small changes in your services, that is also painful. So for this reason, what we did is, so this is the orthodox process. So if you want to see this process in the coding view, I'll show you. Okay, so this is a service. If you will see test serve.service.create, I have created one service, and I'm using this service inside this particular component. Okay, so inside the component I'm using this service. You can easily see that I'm just component. So there is a service called test serve.ts. I'll just remove these things, then it will be more readable. Okay, so that this is a service. In this service I have a get data function, and I'm using a public API. You can utilize the same API also. This is the API I'm using, and this API is a get API, and I am calling this API and getting the data from the API. Okay, and I am just utilizing it inside this get all science data function, which is there, which is getting called with a button. Okay, with this button click I am calling this function. This function is there inside this dashboard component.ts. This is just a random component. You can create this component anywhere, and inside this component I am just calling this service. Okay, I am just creating the object and calling this service. So this is the approach I am following. So let's see that in action. Okay, so this is that button. When I am clicking it, it should be giving me the table. So you can see there that particular table is coming, some data is coming here, right? So it's simple, right? So if you'll ask me how to do this, so what you can do is you can come down to your uh, you can create one command cell or in your PowerShell, and then just put ng, G for generate, S for service, and give the service name. Any service you want, give the service name. So the service will be created. Once the service is created, you can just put you can just put this put a function, get data function. By default, when service gets created, it gets the injectable, so you can comment it out. Once you will comment it out, it will not be in use, it will be simple class. And this is out of dependency injection. Okay, this is where we are not doing any dependency injection. This is orthodox process we are doing. So basically you saw like we created one service like this. So in if we'll go by our example, what we did is we created, okay, so let me clear this. Okay, so what we did is we created, there's an external API which I have used, public API, public API, which is giving some scientific data, and I have one created one service test serve. I have created one service test serve, and I have my component here. Okay, so I have utilized it one in one component. We can also utilize the same thing in another component. So let's say we are in the, if you'll see, we are having the data in the dashboard, right? So let's have it inside admin works. We can have it inside the admin works also. There's another particular component which is there, that is admin. So let me open that admin. Then I can I can do the same thing in the admin, a pretty simple way. I'll just take this and import it. Okay, so I've just imported this one. Then what I'll do, I'll just take this particular function and put it in this one. Okay, so now I just need to have the test service variable, that can be any type. Okay, so I'll just have it here. Okay, then some other data I have, I can have this data as well of type any equals to null initially. Okay, so this is, okay, I have this thing, let's say here also. And what I'll do is I'll go to the admin HTML. Okay, here I have a small, let's say I want to have a small here I'll have one button get, sorry, click get HTTP data, let's say. So I'll just have this function created in the admin. This is this function. Then I have this data. I'll have one div where I want to store the data. Let's say ngif, and this particular value is this value. That, so if this value is there, then only we'll have it. So inside that, let's say we are creating some tags. Okay, so g for equals to let item of this value. Okay, so this some, so what table we have? We have one table called, let's say we are collecting this HTTP. Let's, what do you want to collect? We want to collect, let's say, API name. Okay, so what we'll do is some data, then inside that we'll put the API names. Okay, item dot, what is that API name? This API. Okay, and the bottom name we have not given, I think. get all API. Okay. So if I'll do this, you get all the APIs, right? So let's differentiate them by putting some styles. So you can have some styles for this one. Let's say class span style. I'm just giving a dummy. Okay. So this span, font size pixel, 2 pixel, padding 8 pixel, background color. I'll give some kind of background, border point 2 pixel solid gray. Okay, let's see. Okay, you can see some of the data coming, right? So here I can say column, or we can give float left. Okay, so let's say this is the tags we are creating. Okay, very small things. Okay, so here if we will see this example, so pretty simple. I'm just reiterating it. So the first thing that we should do is create one service. So how do you create this service? uh, what I'll do is I'll just put one step document here. Let's say step doc.txt. Okay, so I'll just put a step doc. First step is create. So this is without di, without dependency injection. How we can do it, how can achieve it? Okay, how we can create, how we can access a service, how to access a service. Okay, so what we'll do is create one service. Okay, I will create ng, g for generate, s for service, then your service name. Okay, so first create one service, then this is your first step. Okay, once you create a service, you will by default you will see this. What will you see? You will see this. Okay, injectable. Just comment out this part. Okay, this is a dependency injection thing. So let's comment out this. Comment this. Whatever is written in this, just comment these things there. Okay, then okay. So comment this part. Okay, comment this part on the top of the service. On the top of the service. Okay. So now third, what we will do? Create a function. Create a function. The whole thing I'll be providing in the description, so you can see from there as well. So create a function with this. Okay, so let's go to the service and check what function is being created. So we have created a sample function here, get data. Okay, so this the create a function is below. So this is your get data function. Okay, so once you create this, use this get data function. So this is basically doing what? It is creating HTTP client, calling the HTTP client package, and this HTTP and it is random using one random URL, get API, and getting the data and returning to the caller function. Okay, So this create a function in service. Okay. So I'll be uploading this. I'll be uploading this. This code would be available on the GitHub also, but these things are also there, so you don't have to worry about. Okay. So now once you create the, if you'll see, just you can ignore this function. It is just a sample function. So you just have to create this function. Once you create this function, what you do is go to a component. Okay. So let's say this is a component. Which component? Dashboard component, let's say. So in dashboard component, directly invoke that particular, import that particular service. Okay. So go to the component and import that. Okay. So in component, in any of the component, try to input in two components. In any component, if you want to, if you have not created any component, so what you can do is just create, I'll give that first, create a component, create two components so that it will be meaningful. Components. And so how will you create a create two components? Ng generate component name, any name you choose. Okay. Give create two components and then import this inside the component. So once you import this inside the component, what you do, you need to get the data, right? So just create a function which will be event driven. Okay. So create a function. Okay. So okay, so let's create this use this function, and once you create this function, you can call this function from your HTML event. Okay. So a sample HTML event of the admin I'm giving, you can do the same for this. Okay. So this is a sample. Okay. This can be utilized. So this is the one. Okay. So this one you can follow up this one, and this is, so this tape document I'll be providing in the description as well, so don't worry about it. So once you can have this inside your HTML. So once this is done, then once you will run your program, you will see that you will be able to access these data from the two components you have created. Okay. And here we have not used the dependency injection. Okay. So now let's get back to this one and understand. So there are two components we have created, and we have accessed data component 2. This is component 1 and component 2. Both are calling this particular test sub page and getting the data and getting the whole thing, right? So you saw this, right? Here the first component which is having this data, and second component is also calling and having in a different way, but it is calling this service. Okay. It's creating the instance and calling the service. So basically in the both the two, if I'll bring those two components side by side, you will see we're wasting a lot of resources. How? Here. Okay. So you see this line, I'm creating one instance here, I'm creating another instance here, right? So here, and if there is any change, I have to change in both of them, right? So this is costly. So to avoid this thing, what we can do is we can use dependency injection. So how we can use dependency injection then here? So that we need to understand. Okay. So let's go for the dependency injection concept. Before going through that, let's go through the theory first. Okay, a little bit theory. Okay. So what is happening is, from component we are calling the services in the structure, right? So basically we are calling from component this one to service. We are calling from this component to the service directly without dependency injection. So with dependency injection, what we'll do, we'll call the injector. Okay, so basically there are two concepts here. One is injector, one is provider. Okay, so when you will call the injector, so injector will Angular will create an application wide injector for the developer. Okay, so what it will do, it will create a complete application wide injector, okay, during the bootstrap process. And then inside that injector, in it, I mean the injector will create dependencies and maintains it throughout the application process. Okay, so let's understand this properly. So when the bootstrap happens, at the time injector will be created for the whole application, and injector will maintain a injector container. So inside the injector container, you will be having service 1 instance, service 2 instance, service 3, like that. Okay, so it will create the injector container. So whenever Angular will see that one component is looking for a service, okay, one component will be looking for a service, it will look inside the injector container, it will look inside here. Okay, so then if it finds it, so in this case, in this example which you are seeing on our screen, in this case we have service 1, service 2. Okay, we don't have service 3. Okay, so when one component will try to utilize service 3, what it will do, it will go for the injector will see its injector container, it will not find it. So what it will do, it will go to the provider. Okay, and it will check for the provider. In the provider it would, so what provider will do then, so provider tells the injector how to implement it. Okay, or how to create an instance for this dependency, right? So provider is having the blueprint of it, of the service 3. So what provider will do, provider will take the blueprint and give it to the injector. Now what injector will do, injector will now register a new service here, so service 3 will come here. So next time when another component will be asking for the service 3, it will not go to the provider, it will take it from the injector. That is the beauty of the dependency injection. So you don't have to go to the provider all the time. If your service instance is available in the injector container, then you don't have to go for the provider. Okay, so the injector will find the service instance and give it to the component. Then component can utilize that particular injector instance, I mean that particular service instance, and it will it will pull data. And it is not like service injector must be a service or sorry, injection dependency injection will happen on always service. It can be a value, it can be a particular you know variable, or it can be anything. Okay, it can be a normal string value, right? So this particular process, okay, this particular process will always save a lot of resources, as injector will not always go to the provider and get the blueprint, right? So it is having a container. So that is the time saving thing which we are going to do. Okay, so let's okay, so now let's see the example, uh, the same example which we have taken right now, right? Without dependency injection. So we have one public API. Okay, so this is the public API we are accessing, which is over internet. It's a GET API. It's a GET API. Okay, so here we have one service called test service. Okay, so this test service is available. And here we have two components. One is dashboard component and another one is admin component, right? So we have one dashboard component and admin component. Both are you calling this service, right? And this service is calling this API. Okay, this is also getting data from here, and this is also getting data from here. Okay, so this is a structure now. This is our structure, our project structure, right? So if you have not created a simple project, go back to the same playlist you are watching now and create a sample project with ng create command and also those videos. So regarding those, I have created another video. You can go through that and you can create your project, and after that you can follow this document. It's pretty simple, right? So you can follow the steps after that. Okay, so without di we have done it. So now let's go with di. So with dependency injection, let's create. Okay, so with dependency injection we'll create. It is same service, so you don't have to create a new service now. It's already we have created a service, right? Let's go, don't do the same step again. So we'll start from the second step. So once your service is created, okay, so you will see the service test serve here, right? So what we will do is we'll uncomment this part. Okay, this part will uncomment. So this injectable is uncommented. So before going to this injectable and understand that, we'll let's understand this practically first. Okay, theoretically first, then we'll see it in practical way. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to we have these components, okay, and we have this service, our service test service, and this is our dashboard component, this is our admin component, right? So what we'll do now is we'll create in this sorry, in this test service we have we have already that injectable decorator, right? We have one injectable decorator over there, right? So any dependency that is needed in the application must be registered as a provider with the application. Okay, so what do you mean by this? Having said that, what do you mean by what we are going to do here, right? So we are going to have one injectable decorator at the rate of injectable inside this service. Okay, that's what it is, right? We are going to have an injectable decorator here, or what we need to do, we need to give a provider inside the module, ng module, or at the rate of component. Inside that also we can give provider. We'll see these three processes. Okay, there are three processes now. Okay, so the first process is injectable decorator, and that is the best process, and that is the default process. If we'll create a service, by default injectable will be created. And but this particular decorator, what it does also, there's a very good thing it does, that is after compilation, if you are not using any of the services, it removes them from the compilation and to make your application lighter. So this process we call it as a tree shaking process. This is one of the very good interview question that comes. So what is tree shaking process? In the tree shaking process, the Angular will what it will do, it will check for which services are not being in use, so it will clear them off from the injector container, right? So your application will be lighter. Okay, so if we will use this one, it will happen automatically. Okay, so let's see how to do the injectable thing, right? So injectable provided in root, that means inside the root module. Which is the root module? The app module, right? As we had discussed, if you remember in the last architecture diagram I had given, that one is root module. Inside that we have feature modules, feature module 1, feature module 2, feature module 3, right? So we have feature modules and root modules. So here if you are giving provided in root, it will be inside the root module, right? So let's comment this guy and put the same function get data, and this part was for non-DI approach, right? This is a DI approach. Okay, so what will happen here? Okay, so here what we will do, we will first, so we have this, we have this service. Okay, so we have this service. Then what we need to do here, we need to just there is another dependency which we are going to use is HTTP client, right? So we need, what we need to do is we need to private HTTP, then HTTP client. So pretty simple, the same URL will be there. The only thing is this dot HTTP get this much, right? So this is in service, this is pretty simple, right? So now injectable and root is here. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll go here and we will, inside the constructor, we'll take another private variable, and that would be our test serve. Okay, colon, which one? The test service. So we are injecting it here. Okay, so no need to create a object now. So I'll not remove this, I'll just comment this one saying this is our non-DI approach. Okay, and I'll just comment this part. Okay, and I'll get the same function. This is our DI approach. Okay, so this is our component. Here you are doing the DI approach. So in this DI approach, the difference is we will not create the object. Okay, rather than that, we'll use this guy. Okay, and this is also not needed. So we'll use this guy here. Okay, then this dot this dot this, and okay. So now as we have done it here, so this is done, and we have this here. The same thing we'll do for here for the dashboard component as well, right? So what we'll do is we'll comment this part, or already we have done that there, so let's remove it and create one constructor here, private test serve. Okay, so this dot test serve, this. Okay, so okay, so let's see. Okay, there will be some errors. Okay, okay, so cannot find a diff for supporting object of type object, ng for only support the binding of such areas. Okay, so that means there's some difference between this res entries. We can see the sum first. Okay, so it is coming as entries. Okay, then we can see if this one equals to this one is entries also. Okay, we can see this now. So if we will do this, it will have the data, right? So okay, so this is nothing but a JSON manipulation error, so don't worry about it. Entries. So then we are good, right? Okay, so this is also working, this is also working. Okay, so here if you will observe the difference, okay, the difference, okay, let's write it out first. So what did we do? We uncommented, or if you removed, added this one. What is it? Injectable to the root. So basically we are injecting it to the root. Okay, this is one approach. Next, what we did, then inside the constructor we called we created a variable of type of service, right? So in the it is this one which we did, right, of a type of the service class, right? We did this one, we created this one, and then using that we directly called the function, right? So basically here we are not creating an object like the older time, like with the non-di approach we are not creating an object. So we are just utilizing this variable, creating a variable which will be checking for whether injector is having any instance for that or not. Okay, so this is one of the approach. Okay, so this is one of the approach we are going to do. Then we are calling the same way like above, we are doing the same logic, right? Only there was some JSON manipulation, little differences, that is not the thing. So I can just copy the same thing if you want, the same function. So this is the service function. So in service, this is the service approach. So this is the service approach, and sorry, inside the service, and this is the inside the component, right? So inside component, what code function we are changing? Basically we are changing very less. We are just calling the constructor here. So I'll just place that here. So constructor this way. Then inside the component, what we are doing? We are just creating this, right? So this is as simple as that. Okay. So now this is one approach. The next thing is what we can do here. So let's say you don't want to do use this one. So what other way you can do? So I will just comment this out and I'll try to run. You will see the error. Okay, there is one error. There will be one error where provider error. Okay, so you can see it. An injection. There is no provider for state service. You see this, right? Null injection, null injector error. It's a very common error. Okay, so this error will come if you have not if you are not using any injectable, or you are not using it inside a provider as well. So what we'll do, what we can do, if I don't want to use this, utilize this process, what I can do is I can directly go to the root module or any of the module which I'm going to use. Let's say this dashboard module. Okay, I'm going to use this dashboard module first. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just go to the, if you have not created a dashboard, if you don't have a module, dashboard module, you can create one, or if you have, if you want to see on the root module, I also can utilize it. So let's say that this is the root module. So in this root module, what we will do is we will import the service. Input this from, then here services. Sorry, is it on this label? Yeah, services slash this, right? So here test service. Okay, so I have imported the service inside the root module app.module.ts file. Okay, so inside the root module I have taken this one, and what I'll do is inside the providers array I'll put this. Okay, so if I'll put this one here, so okay, so now this process, this is with so we are doing this process as the first approach for that, for the at injectable, and inside that we are using the provided in, this is preferred way because it is having the tree-sequence process, right, as I explained. The tree-seq process is very much essential, so that's why it is a preferable way. If we are not doing this way, what we can do is we can provide in the root module or desired module. So provide in the root module like app module, or can be provided in inner modules or feature module, you can say feature modules. Okay, or can also be provided in the components. Let's see that. So as we have provided here, so what we have done is we have imported this service here in the app module, and we have provided the app here, and then we are consuming inside the dashboard and the component and the app component, right? So now if you want to provide it inside any of this component, direct component, we can also do that. The same provider can also be used inside the component, where inside the component tab, here inside the component. So if you want to use it here directly, we can do providers, then same, then inside that we can directly import and utilize it. So if you are going to import it here, the scope will be this only, this ts file only. So say I'll clear this, and what we'll do is, so there are three ways. First is at the rate of injectable. So if you are using at the rate of injectable in the services and you are giving a provided in, okay, you are giving this provided in here, okay, injectable and provided in, and you are giving root or any module name, then what you are doing is you are directly injecting to that module. Okay, so let's say one module you are injecting, and inside that whatever components are available, whatever components are connected to that module will have the access to that. Okay, okay, so this is one way. If you are directly providing in any module, the same approach, inside that whatever components are connected to that, those components will be having the access. Okay, similarly if you are directly providing inside a component, then that component only would be having the access to that. So this is the way we do dependency injection. Okay, so we saw, like we did with the provided in, then we did with the module. So with the module, in the sense, in the inside the app module we gave this providers, then the same way, right? So provided in the root module, like app module, or can be provided inside the feature modules, or can be provided inside the component. So if it is So if it is inside the module, it would be inside ng module. If it is in component, it will be inside the the component. Okay. So if you want to see that here, I can show you that. So if it is, you can see it's inside the ng module the providers, and if it is, if you want to provide inside this component, you need to provide it here. Okay, just create a provider array, and inside that you can directly give it here. Okay, you can give it here. Okay, so this is the this is the way how we do. Okay, so so if if you want to see this component action also, what we can do is we can go to the dashboard and utilize this too, and we can go to the app module and remove this guy from here and remove this here, and we can save it. Okay, let's go back and see in action. Yes, working. So this is from where it is pulling. It is pulling inside the, it is pulling inside the dashboard, right? From here. Then the other one will be pulling inside here. Okay, this will be pulling inside here. Okay, so the thing is, the hierarchy would be like this. Either you uh, so if you are creating one service, so let's say if you have created this service, then you should declare through injectable inside the service, injectable with provided in, or give a providers inside the module, app module or feature module, or give inside components. This three way we can do this inject to the dependency injection. So the three ways the action will be same. This is having advantages of tree checking, and this is having an advantages of multiple component access. This is having an advantage of single component restriction. Like in a single component, it will be accessible, other components cannot access it. So if you want to see that, so if I'll remove it from one of the admin component, let's remove it from admin. So let's see there is an error of no provider, you will see. Okay, no provider test service, right? So this is the core thing. Okay, so we'll see in the next session, we'll see all the other dependency token and all uses. So this is all for this one. So I'll be providing the dependency injection text file in the description. So we can also, I'll also check in the code. You can take the code from the GitHub link as well. Thank you.